It's been a while, I know, but I'm back, so that's all that matters. Anyways, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be looking at principles of design. The first principle we're going to talk about is balance. Balance is the equal visual distribution of a weight in a design. Symmetrical balance is when both sides of an artwork look the same or very similar, like a mirror image. If you fold it in half, both sides would match. An example would be a butterfly or a face. Asymmetrical balance is when both sides are different but still feel balanced. It creates visual interest without being perfectly even. An example of this would be tree with different sizes of branches but still looking stable. Radial balance is when elements in an artwork spread out evenly from a center point, like a wheel or a flower. Everything is arranged in a circular way, making the design look balanced and pleasing. Examples include mandalas, sunbursts, and even ripples in water. In the principle of balance, line, shape, and color play key roles in creating visual stability. Line can guide the eye and create balance by leading attention evenly across the artwork. Straight, curved, or diagonal lines can affect how weight is distributed. An example would be a sunburst pattern creates radial balance. Shape, larger or group shapes, can create a sense of weight, balancing smaller or spaced out shapes. An example would be a big tree on one side balanced by several smaller trees on the other. Color, bright or dark colors feel heavier than light or dull ones, so artists can use them carefully to maintain balance. An example would be a small red object can balance a larger dull colored one because red grabs attention. Next I'm going to describe to you is emphasis. Emphasis directs the viewer's eye to the most important part of an artwork. Shape, unique or larger shapes stand out more than repetitive or smaller ones. An example would be a single large star in a group of small circles drawing attention because it breaks the pattern. Color, bright, bold, or contrasting colors make elements pop. Example would be a red apple among green apples immediately grabs attention because red and green are complementary colors. Next is movement. Movement creates a sense of action or leads the eye in a specific direction. Curved or diagonal lines imply motion and energy. An example would be a spiral staircase drawn with curved lines makes the viewer feel like they're traveling up or down. Repeated or dynamic shapes suggest motion. Example would be a series of footprints leading diagonally across an image naturally moves the eye in that direction. Color changes can create a visual flow. Example would be a gradient transitioning from deep red to a soft yellow. It suggests a warmth spreading outward, creating movement. Contrast is when two elements are different enough that one stands out against the other. Different shapes, like a square surrounded by circles, create contrast and catch the eye. Differing line types like thick versus thin make a design more impactful. For example, a thick outline around a delicate drawing makes the drawing stand out more. Using colors that are opposite from each other, like black and white, makes something more noticeable. Proportion refers to the relative size of parts in a design. It can either be natural or altered. Standard proportion refers to the typical or natural size relationships between different parts of the body or objects. It follows how things normally look in real life. An example would be a realistic human figure. The head is usually about 1/8 of the total height of the body. Altered proportions happens when the size relationships aren't really real. So an example would be a big head with very, very small eyes, such as like a cartoon character. Face proportion. This is when specific proportion used for the human face, which typically follows certain guidelines for placement of features, like eyes, nose, and mouth. Repetition uses elements multiple times for consistency. It reinforces the designs and helps unify the composition. Repeating lines build texture and movement. An example would be wood, with repeating flowing lines enhancing realism. Repeating the same shape multiple times creates order and harmony. A wallpaper pattern would be an example. Using the same color throughout a design ties it together. An example would be a painting with blue appearing in different areas creates a visual connection. Pattern is the intentional and repeated use of elements to create rhythm and decoration. Lines forming repetitive arrangements establish structured patterns. An example for this could be a brick wall. Repeated colors in a structured way can create a pattern. A tile floor can possibly be an example for this. Same with color. Repeating colors in a structured way strengthens a pattern. A fabric with alternating blue and yellow stripes creates a visual rhythm. Rhythm happens when elements repeat in a way that suggests movement or energy. Wavy, zigzag, or spiral lines help create energy and motion. Repeated curved lines in a painting of waves enhances the feeling of flowing water. Shape placed at irregular or irregular intervals create different types of rhythm. Color alternation or gradients can enhance rhythm. An example would be a sunset with colors smoothly transitioning from deep red to purple. Unity ensures that all parts of the artwork feel connected. Connecting or repeating lines reinforce unity. A continuous swirling line that links different elements in a design makes them feel connected. Similar shapes make a piece feel cohesive. A design made entirely out of circular forms feel more unified than one with random disconnected shapes. With color, it's better to use a limited and color palette that goes together, so that way it creates more of a unity than it would if you put a bunch of random colors on a piece of paper and called it. Last but not least is variety. Variety keeps an artwork from being too boring by adding contrast and complexity. Different line types adds texture and variety. A drawing combining soft, curved with sharp, angular ones creates dynamic and contrast. A mix of different shapes creates visual interest. A painting with circles, triangles, and squares instead of just one shape type keeps the eye engaged. Using a range of colors adds energy and excitement. A painting featuring both warm and cool tones creates a lively, diverse feeling. That's all. Love you. Have a nice day. Yeah. Bye, guys.